Hello everyone, welcome to Michelin King. Today we're going to be having a look at our rally kit. So what is the rally kit? Probably the thing that stands out the most is this big flight case. So it comfortably stores 15 liquids. There's actually room at the top even after that. So what we'll do is we'll go through the liquids that the customer's chosen. I'll show you the stuff in the box. So that you get an idea of how much more you can store in. The other thing that I like about this is we've got feet at the bottom, so it keeps it off the garage floor. They're also stackable as well. So once we put, I like the fact it's got a detachable lid, because if you're working in the garage, it means you're not having to keep it quite a distance away from the wall to open the lid, so you can actually take the lid off and then it can be tight to the garage wall. So it means it's space saving as well. Plus, you know what it's like, using this stuff in the house is all well and good, but when it goes into more commercial, industrial usage, the hinges and stuff take a battering. So that's, I think it's quite a good design. You've got some foam inlay inside as well, just to keep things nice and cushioned. So first up, you just choose 15 liquids, and then you get a free 50ml wax as well. But with the website, because of what the kit retails for, you actually get a free 200ml wax and another free 50ml wax at the moment. So this customer's went for Exile, so that's our instant pre-wash. So it's a step above citrus. So essentially, Exile, I would use it to decon the car every season. It's quite heavy duty. It's the best pre-wash that I've ever used, because a lot of the citrus stuff is more on the gentle side, whereas Exile that's exactly what it's designed to do. Spray it off, rinse it off. Spray on, sorry, rinse off, and you'll find that the amount of dirt that comes off is considerably more than what you're used to. Other wash chemicals, so we've got Strip here. Again, this is an alkaline based product. It will over time deteriorate wax coating, sealants and stuff like that. If you're looking for, there's just a bottle left on the shelf at the moment. So if you're looking to totally strip off your waxes or your non-ceramic sealants, it will take off SiO2, but your proper 9H stuff, then Pure is the thing to go for, especially on a dual action. So if you're looking to just strip off and start again, then go for Pure. This is more a heavy duty shampoo, but it is alkaline, so it will deteriorate the coatings over time. Essentially, if you've got a sealant or a wax that's at the end of its life, then that will just kick it into touch. So, but it's not something, this is probably a good chance to say this. Decon products, if the wax is quite new, will not be enough to remove the wax completely. So you'll always need to reach for some kind of micro abrasive polish to actually remove it completely. Because if you've just put on, say for instance, you put on RPM and then use this the week after, although the protection will have deteriorated, it won't be completely removed. So if you want it away completely, you need to use something like Pure. But again, it's a great product to use. I tend to use Strip when I buy a new car, in between seasons as well, or if the car's particularly dirty and I don't mind topping up, which brings us on to this product. So customers bought two, so they've went for seal within the kit, but they've bought a litre of Wax Plus separately. So this is great if the car's wet. So in the excuse me, the winter months, the car's wet, spray it on, buff it off, and you've got some really nice high gloss shine and protection. This is better if the car's dry. This will give you about 6 months of protection with one coat. SiO2, it's really good stuff. Personally, I tend to use SiO2 in the winter, and I'll maybe reach for something like Glace, which again the customer bought. This is a Carnauba based spray wax. I'll tend to use that in this a more gentle climate. We'll just put that in there as well. What else have we got? So, oh, this is really good as well. So this is Endurance. The reason that a lot of the products are in clear bottles is just to make sure that you shake them, because a lot of car care products are emulsions and they do separate, so it's important to give them a good shake. Endurance is probably one that suffers a wee bit more than others, simply because it's an old school solvent based product, and you'll see when it settles again, there's probably about 3/4 of the emulsion, which is why this is our highest gloss spray wax. So in terms of gloss, if you want the glossiest finish, then go for Endurance. What have we got here? Right, so what I've done, I'm just going to put the shampoos to this side. That's wheel stuff and a rinse aid, so that can go there. I'll just split them into categories so that we're kind of covering the same stuff. The only thing that's missing from this is Pure, but the customer may already have that. If they don't, I would advise that they get Pure. They do have all-in-one, which you'll hear this, quite liquidy, so you can actually use a spray for all-in-one. It's a great product. So it's very similar to Pure in the sense it will clean the paintwork, but it'll also leave some protection behind, and there's a very, very small amount of chemical cleaners in there as well. So it's just what it says, it's an all-in-one. So again, if you're in a bit of a rush or you just fancy something different, then all-in-one is worth a look. Now we're on to the sealant / glaze. So Cloak is a glaze. The difference between a glaze and a polish is a glaze has no abrasive properties to it at all. So we're going quite old school in terms of, because nowadays what you're faced with, you've got a lot of hybridization of products. So we tend to stick with less of a hybrid of products, is simply because that's what our customer base wants. However, there is a slight change to that. So the new Guard actually has some SiO2 inside. The reason behind this is Bavaria is becoming more and more difficult to make and get and blah blah blah. So what we decided to do is take our glossiest sealant that we have and just increase the durability. So you've now got a product that's got excellent durability. It's not complicated to use, it's very easy to use. Still, as you know, with the likes of Titan and whatever, they're very easy on and off, and this is the same. Because what I felt is I don't want to make a product more difficult to use, because we don't have a lot of call for the ceramic stuff within Michelin King. Most of our customers are on the Carnauba based stuff, and we just don't really get asked for it that much. So, but in saying that, you can now, because we do have a range. I mean, the funny thing is, so Wax Plus is obviously SiO2. You've got Spa Plus, which is a ceramic shampoo as well, and now you've got a sealant. So, and you may or may not be getting a wax very soon. So you can team them up as a trio. Back onto the Carnauba based stuff. Diamond Seal is a Carnauba based sealant. So these are becoming more and more rare, but obviously because we make car waxes, that's our whole thing. It's a whole business model. So we have to carry a sealant which is a predominantly Carnauba based agent. Very similar to Endurance, so hence the kind of honey colour. So Endurance has got a lot of Carnauba in it, as does Glace as well. It's a toss up between the two. Endurance is a glossier finish and Glace is a warmer finish. So if you like the warmer finishes from some of the Carnaubas, go for Glace. If you like the glossier finish, go for Endurance. So this brings us nicely onto Cloak. And for some of the newer enthusiasts, Cloak is quite a difficult one to slot into their regime, simply because glazes years ago were always part of the detailing stage. You would essentially machine polish the car, apply your cherry glaze as it was known, or apple glaze, whatever the term is, but typically in the UK it was a cherry glaze, and then you would go on and wax. There was nothing really in between, no SiO2s. I don't even think there were any ceramics back then. So well, I definitely know there wasn't, because I think I imported one of the first from South Korea, and it was an absolute nightmare to use, and that put me off them for a long time. So it's just what your interaction is, I suppose. People have it with waxes where, you know, they reached for their dad or their grandfathers, or, you know, wax off the garage shelf and didn't revisit it till later in life because the old ones could be so difficult to use. Glaze is an interesting product. So essentially what glaze was originally used for, it was actually used for in Pebble Beach concourse events. So it was just a product that had some wax content in it. It had no abrasives. It kind of smelled like lipstick as well. And you would just apply it to the car multiple times, and it would essentially dual the paintwork. It would feed the paint. This is on the old paint systems where you didn't have clear coats and stuff like that. So it essentially was feeding the paint because there was nothing to stop this going through. Fast forward to now, and what people tend to use glaze products for is to hide the wash marring and the micro marring. So this is what this product is designed to do. So if you don't have the time to machine polish, or you just want the car to look quite good in a quick period of time, then you can reach for cloak. One tip I would give you is, if you've got a dual action polisher, use Pure on a polishing pad. A lot of people use Pure on a finishing pad. I tend to use it on a polishing pad because you get a wee bit more cut. Remember, it is a very slight micro abrasive in there. So if you use it on a light polishing pad, so typically these are white, but it depends on your manufacturer, then you'll be absolutely amazed. White's quite a good, but I always try to say to people, start off with a white pad, because you'll actually see the grime that's being removed even after you strip off with your shampoo, your citrus pre-washes and stuff. You'll be amazed at what's actually still left in the paint. The reason behind that is you'll have products on the paintwork, contaminants essentially, that you will not be able to remove with shampoos and clay bars. They'll need a solvent base to actually remove them, more so than maybe panel wipe and that type of stuff. So again, if you've not tried Pure, it's one of the best selling products that we offer. It changes between Quick Detailer and Pure. So a lot of people just ask, you know, what's your top 5 products, and I'll buy them to start off as a kit for them, I suppose. Right, next up we have this, which is just an alloy wheel protectant, so it just makes it really easy to clean your wheels. One of the things that I would say, guys, I've got them just now, the diamond cut wheels. Don't use an alloy wheel cleaner on them, just use soap, a pH neutral soap, simply because the spider effect on them can be quite severe, and alkaline absolutely loves to get underneath the clear coat, this sort of diamond cut effect. And as many of you know, they are an absolute ache to refurbish. I think a lot of people, that certainly myself, when I've had them in the past, I just get them redipped in silver. I detest diamond cut alloys because the quality just doesn't seem to be there. So it just seems to be a bit tricky to keep them looking good. Obviously you've got black alloys and silver, so you can get whatever colour you want. Right, so on to shampoos and rinse aids. Rinse aids have been around for a long time. You can use them in a variety of different ways. So essentially you would have a wet car to begin with. So you've washed the car and you've rinsed the soap off. I wouldn't put rinse aid into your lance until all the soap has dissipated from the car, simply because it will join in with a sort of silicone formulation and you'll get some kind of weird bind between the detergent and this. So make sure it's clean paint. I know that sounds obvious, but it's worth mentioning. A couple of different ways you can use this. So this is full strength. So you can dilute it down into your foam lance, or your lance doesn't need to be foaming. Spray it over the paint and you'll see it dissipate. Its hydrophobic property will just clear any standing water. That's the least strong method in terms of durability. So it's the least durable way to use a rinse aid. It looks the best for videos and stuff, but it's the least durable because you're diluting it down so heavily. Bearing in mind there's already water on there, so you're diluting it down even further. The next way that you can do it is one of the pump, like the IK sprayers. You can put it in there. It would be a higher dilution ratio than your pressure washer, so that's a second way, so it's a wee bit more. But the way I tend to use this would be, you can dilute it 20:1. I was just reminding myself what the dilution ratio was. So you can dilute it down 20:1, just put it into a spray bottle, spray it over the car. Most cars nowadays, they're small enough, especially in Europe, that you can get whiz round the car, spray it down. The next way that you can do it is a slightly higher concentration, and this is when you're getting into the more protection side of things. So I would do this in winter, and it's quite a quick way. But the reason we sell this is because there's a market demand for it. So I'm going to play devil's advocate a bit here. I'm going to bring out a proper spray wax that's water soluble, that's specifically designed as a spray wax and not as hydrophobic agent. Now, put them both side by side. Spray waxes that are water soluble like this are 10 times, not even 10 times, they are magnificently easier to use than rinse aids, simply because of the ingredients that's in this type of stuff. You can't really change the ingredients too much. It's just a rinse aid. You can increase the concentration, you can decrease it, but there's not a lot else you can do. You can add in SiO2, but again, SiO2 in with water, blah blah blah. You know, it just, you can make it water soluble, but it's like making a Ferrari Dakar, you know, that type of thing. It's not really what it's designed to do. So, yeah. So, devil's advocate, I would choose this simply because this is a newer product. Rinse aids are quite old. They probably date. I mean, I certainly can remember them from about early 90s, late 80s. There's not been a lot of change since then. These types of products are much newer. So water-soluble products in general are newer, just because the environmental impact, there's more of a push on that now. So this, to me, this would look better. It would last longer. But again, if you put it in a foam lance and you're just looking to get a wee bit of protection, then I would go for this. If you're actually looking for the car to look, if you want the car to look good for any period of time, I would go for a spray wax. And all you need to do with this, pop the spray head on it, spray it over maybe a door panel. Don't spray the whole car, spray it over a 3 feet by 3 feet section, or 1200 by 1200, which is 4 feet by 4 feet roughly, and then buff it off. The one thing I would say, guys, is there's a big push just now, and we get a lot of feedback on our emails. There's a big push for these super thick microfibers. They look great, they hold a lot of water, they're horrible to use with products though, because A, they're too heavy. So anyway, a waffle weave, go old school, get yourself a waffle weave towel, a microfiber round about maybe a 300, I don't even think you would need a 300, about 300 or less. The thickest one I would go for are these sort of dual microfiber side, I don't know what they call them, the double-sided ones. But don't go for something that's super thick, simply because it soaks up too much product, and it takes the product inside the cloth, so you're not getting it on the surface of the paint. You want this to kind of be massaged into the paint, so to speak, so that it cures on the surface, not like, you know, an inch into the microfiber. So again, rinse aids, they're so flexible, but they don't do a lot of things well. That's the downside of a rinse aid. The only thing I would say that they do well is go in the foam lands. There's not a lot of other products that you couldn't really do that with this. I wouldn't like to do it with this. So that's where this excels. But for any other type of thing, and bearing in mind also, one of the issues that you'll have with rinse aids is you'll have this kind of cloudy, especially if you've got black paint, the winter sun comes out and you'll see this kind of cloudy effect. The best thing you can do is make sure you still dry the car. That's the big thing that's missing from the rinse aids, is they get sprayed on, walk away and left, because that's how they're supposed to be. But if you've ever used them on like your shower screen, they're very similar thing. Use them on your shower screen and you come back in and you see there's almost this greasy film. That's just a hydrophobic layer. But you can make it clear again by just buffing that off. You will still be left with a hydrophobic layer, it just won't be as thick or as visible. So a couple of tips to use rinse aids. Again, I'm not a huge fan, I don't tend to use them that often, simply because if you've got a good wax or a good sealant on the paint, you don't really need it. The other thing I would say, guys, is bear in mind, if you've got a really nice wax like Samaya or Jordan or Rory, Ivory, don't put the rinse aid on, because these are silicone based products and they will detract from the look of your wax as well. Yeah, so if you've got a nice wax, I would edge away from rinse aids and just dry the car with Seal or Quick Detailer. You need to pour some, but yeah, you could quite easily use Quick Detailer as well. Right, shampoos. Excuse me, we're nearly done. We've got 3 shampoos here. Ceramic. What to be aware of as well, I think these videos are great because there's no hiding products. They have to be. One of the things that I'm really not keen on, and it's difficult as a company selling this, is a thick ceramic shampoo. Obviously ceramics, they're not really our thing, but we do carry them. So the washing Chera, which is my favourite shampoo, is thinner than Spa because you've got the Carnauba emulsion in there and you need stuff to make it water soluble. But if you hear, well, it's all bubbly so you won't hear it, but just bear in mind, ceramic shampoos, most of them are quite liquidy. So they are quite thin compared to, let's see, if I've got anything that's gloopy, there we go. So look at the difference between that. So, but that's a very thick shampoo. I think I tend to use that. Obviously water in Scotland's very soft, so we don't use a lot of chemicals in our water. Unless you're probably in our city. So you can get away with about 10 to 20 millilitres within a bucket. The other thing I've pretty much stopped within my wash regime is using these big, huge 25, 20 litre buckets. Again, the car I've got just now is an estate car, so it's not that big. But obviously for an American customers, who lots of them have got the Ford F250s, 350s, like the big huge trucks, you're going to need that size of bucket. But if you've got a smaller Euro car, you don't need. It's totally up to yourself. For me, it's just manoeuvrability. If I'm moving the buckets all the time, we've got a stoned driveway, so it means you're kind of moving these 40 kilos of water that inevitably goes down your trousers. So Chera, probably my favourite shampoo because it's got some Carnauba in there, some protection, and it just goes hand in hand with the Carnauba waxes. If I go between the two. Funnily enough, I use Spa. This is a thing that I say to quite a lot of customers. So obviously we offer pH neutral snow foam. Now a lot of you guys will be used to you'll be used to alkaline based snow foams. This one's pH neutral simply because alkaline doesn't really like Carnauba wax. So, and if you've got enough of a wax layer on the paint, you don't really need an alkaline based snow foam, because the surface should be slick and hydrophobic to begin with. So this is where this falls in. So this is really nice. With a customer, Ralph, who was using another brand, it's a big company. And he had said it's night and day. But the one thing I would say, what I've learned over the years, especially with detergent-based chemicals, the reason that they'll be more expensive is because the detergent is expensive. That's the thing. If you buy a snow foam that's like this, it's £10 for half a litre. The reason it's £10 or so for half a litre is because the detergent's quite expensive. But obviously the more water you add into it, the more other stuff you add into it, then you can bring it down. The other thing to watch out for would be dilution ratios. So you go into the big brand stores, for instance, and you'll see like a 5 litre of car shampoo, but the dilution ratios, I mean, I've seen them as low as 100, 150 to 1. Our shampoo kicks in the region of about 1,500 to 2,000 to 1. So you're getting at least 10 times and based on the pricing, that bottle of shampoo translated, if we were to sell it, should be, say, 100, 150 pounds. But again, it allows you to have smaller bottles as well. Obviously, we sell 5 litres. Even in the shampoos, we go all the way up to the trade, 25 litres. But it's just down to the quality. So there's no hiding the quality of the ingredients, because it's representative of what you'll end up paying, essentially. Same goes with the waxes. Something like mercury, this is a natural wax, so there's very little kerosene or paraffin or whatever petrochemical in this at all. The products that we do use, for instance, one of them is about 13 times the price of excuse me, the petrochemical solvent carrier. So that's why they are. And they're nicer. They're nicer to use. They look better. Because you've got pretty much everything that's in this wax is an active ingredient. So there aren't any empty carriers, so to speak. Obviously, the issue with petrochemicals, the first issue you'll face is evaporation. So even though the price might seem very keen, the downside of that is the final finish. But it's the same if you look at, very simple way to look at this is domestic paint. So if you go into Home Depot, B&Q, that type of place, you'll see brands of paint, maybe $20 for, I don't know what 10 litres is. So basically we have one here, it's 10 litres and it's like 20 odd pounds. But then if you were to buy a Johnston trade, a Dulux trade, you're looking at between 70 to 100 pounds. But it's the difference is the paint quality. So you're putting less coats on. Sometimes I've bought these, remember my first flat, I bought one of these sort of deals, and I just gave up because I think I put 4 or 5 coats on. So obviously if you're professional, then it's the time as well. So in terms of free gifts, they've got a header in here for the 50ml, and then they've got a paisley for the 200ml. All the spray heads go in here as well. I've just got a quick detailer to pour, and then this will be ready to go out. Just line up the hinges. You actually get keys with this as well. There's 2 wee locks there. It's a great thing for shows as well. Sorry, a bit difficult to do it from the back. Obviously, as I said, you can stack these. So if you're looking at the Warrior kit, the international version of the Warrior kit actually comes with these boxes. So you get about 3 of these boxes. The Warrior kit has 4 200ml waxes, plus it has all the liquids in it as well. It's on the website. I think it's in the sale, funnily enough, right now. But in terms of this kit, even for the seasoned detailer, it's just something nice to have. It's a nice kit. The liquids are your choice, the wax is your choice, and it means you get what you want. So you're building your own custom kit. And in my opinion, there isn't a bad liquid in there. There's stuff that we've shied away from simply because I don't know if we can make it better. And that's my thought. I always think, unless we can make the best one, or one that's really, really good, I don't think there's any point us bringing that out. So in terms of, although we have changed, so we had a rain repellent, which was really good. Then we couldn't get it, the same one. So we had to bring in another one, which wasn't quite as good, so we just dropped it. But now, funnily enough, the new glass cleaner that we have actually has SiO2 in it as well. So Guard and Clear have now went through this kind of this reblend. So, but in terms of quality of their products, I mean, Trim, I've not seen a plastic restorer, external plastic restorer, as good as this. You've got upholstery cleaner. Again, I've bought lots of different upholstery cleaners over the year, and Thread still, the main reason for me that Thread is so good is because of the concentration ratio. It would be very easy for me to buy this in, dilute it down, send it out ready to use. The difficulty with that is, if you've got a really hard stain to come out, you need the strongest version, and you need to really be in control of your dilution ratio. So that's why, in my opinion, for something that's quite boring, always gets really good reviews. Tyre dressing, really rare just now to find solvent-based tyre dressing, so I think that's why tyre is so popular. And Titan, again, to get a sealant that looks as good as that, it's easy. You just have to YouTube Titan, you'll see quite a few people have reviewed it. Wax Plus is the same. Yeah, there's lots and lots of good products that we offer. If you came to me and said, what would I start out with, I would say Pure, quick detailer. Shampoos, shampoos are a personal thing, because they're about, it's not just the dilution, it's the colour and the fragrance as well. So they're a wee bit like waxes in a way. So if you've got a shampoo that you like using, just make sure it's pH neutral, and after that, it's your own choice. Titan, so I would go for Pure quick detailer Titan, and then I would maybe throw in a spray wax, just because we're coming into autumn, the colder season. So I would go for Endurance or Wax Plus for that. And then after that, it's just building more. We've got a phenomenal leather cleaner. I use it for the car, I use it in the house, loads of different places. It's very, very good. So yeah, I would go for that, or go for this. Right, so that's it. The Raleigh kit, it's on the website just now, plenty in stock. If you've got any questions or anything, guys, just leave a comment. We've got the online chat as well, but it's quite busy at the moment, so just appreciate your patience with the orders going out and stuff like that. Right, take care, bye bye.